this is Cheri at djsundry.blogspot.com, and I have another Christmas card to share with you today. Now, I think it was last year on the in the Cricut Craft Rooms, they were offering a free preview of the Teresa Collins Christmas Silhouettes cartridge. And I saw it, but before I could get anything cut from it, it was gone. Well, they were offering it again this year, and it's actually been up, or at least a few of the images from that cartridge have actually been up and listed as a free sample for quite a few weeks. And as of when I'm filming this video, which is Sunday night on December 15th, they are still available in the Cricut Craft Room. So check if you're interested in making this card, and you can see if it's still available. Now, I'm using quite a few things for this card, and I'm going to make it with you, but I've done a lot of prep work in advance so that we can do it more quickly. The red ink that I'm using is my Festive Berries Distress ink. I use some Memento Tuxedo Black. I use Close to My Heart Ponderosa Pine, and I really like the ruby, but my ruby's running out, so that's why I used the Festive Berries. I had this craft color cardstock, and I am not positive because I just found a package in my stash. I believe it's probably Paper Tray ink because that's my favorite craft cardstock, but it wasn't marked, so I don't know if it's something I had from somewhere else. And for the most part, the printed paper that I used and that I'll be sharing with you was left over for my my Christmas scraps. I have a nice big bin of them, and I was trying to use those up. And so I have everything from die cuts with a view to I don't know, just all sorts of scattered recollections, all sorts of scattered paper. But I did, for the one that we're going to make together, I did pull 2 sheets from this Die Cuts with a View, the first Noel stack that I picked up at Michael's last year. And I actually picked up, I think, a couple of these because this is just such a gorgeous stack, and it's it has a lot about Christmas in it and what I equate with Christmas: the 3 wise men, taking us back to the Christ child, and those kind of things. So I really love this stack. I use 2 sets of stamps. I use Ornate Christmas, and this is from, I believe it's Inka Dinka Doo. Yes, from Inka Dinka Doo. And the one that I used from this, and pardon the glare, but the one that I used from this is this Merry Christmas, and it's just such a gorgeous Christmas stamp. I love the font. Actually, that was the whole reason I bought this stamp set a year or 2 ago. I also used the Close to My Heart Everlasting Life Holidays, just because it's just, as you can see, the main stamp that I use is the Isaiah 9:6, and it's very used. I'm going to have to get out the stamp cleaner and really clean it because the wipes just didn't clean up that Ponderosa Pine. The card that I'm making today uses this pretty paper, and it's from that Die Cuts with a View stack. The base colors, or the base card that I made, I used a combination of just papers from my stash. Some of them were from the Paper Studio, some of them were from Recollections, and there were probably some from Joann's too. I just grabbed and used up what I had to coordinate and match. So we're going to start with our card base. Move this stuff aside, and it's a standard A2 size card cut. It's 5.5 inches wide by 8.25 inches long, and it's scored at the 4.25 mark to form a card just like that. And I folded that in half. We're going to start with the inside of our card, and this is where I've done my my Close to My Heart stamp that says, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace." Isaiah 9:6. And the highlighted one, I think, really matches well with the Merry Christmas that we'll use on the front of the card. Now, I am going to show you, I made quite a lot of these cards. Let's see, I think by the time it's said and done, I used, let's see, about 24, I think, cards from the silhouettes, using just 2 of the silhouettes from the pack. and I wanted to the card that I envisioned in my head was using pattern paper, and I had a really hard time. I went ahead and cut some of them, and I didn't cut very many of them in pattern paper because envisioning what I was seeing in my head and translating that to paper was very difficult for me. And so I have 4 each of 2 different pattern papers, and then what I did is I did most of them, and I'll show you the variation in just a minute, because most of them were done with plain colored silhouettes. So that we have the inside of our card done. Now, and this is kind of a tip, I like the thick, heavy cardstock for my card bases, but sometimes the card bases that I have are not thick and heavy. But by the time I get all these layers on here, it really gives a nice weight to the card. And so that's one thing that's really nice about layering. The other thing is I have to send out so many Christmas cards that I really do not want to add a lot of I don't want to add too much weight, but I also don't want to add a lot of bulk to my card because I don't want to pay extra postage. So I'm trying this year for all of my cards at Christmas time not to be dimensional, at least not the ones that I'm going to hand, or unless I'm going to hand do them. So there's a piece of that gorgeous paper, and I didn't even notice this until I started the video, but it's almost got like a nativity mixed in with a Christmas tree, and it's kind of abstract, but I didn't even notice that until just now. So then we have our silhouette. Now what I did is, this is, again, I was going to do green, red on red, and then I have some more that I'll show you that are green on green. And I was going to do that, but there was not enough contrast between the reds to make it stand out. So I decided to alternate them, and I'll show you the alternate on the green. But what I did is I took in the craft room, I cut these out in the craft room, and I sized them just what I felt would be appropriate for my card, and I don't know that size off the top of my head. Then what I did is I added another layer to the craft room, and this shape is from the Cricut Close to My Heart Art Philosophy cartridge, and I played with it and manipulated it over the image of the silhouette until I knew it was big enough that I could fit my image on it, and it just barely fits. But I didn't have a lot of room to play here because any bigger and it would have been too big for my card base. So just, you kind of have to play with it a little bit. I am not a mathematician by any means. Some people can just look at something and figure out very quickly what sizes they need to make everything based on mathematical equations. I don't do that well. I do that to some degree, but I find that I prefer, especially with Cricut images, to play with them and manipulate them and then go with that size rather than say, well, a 5.5 inch silhouette should work, because I found in the Cricut craft room, or with the Cricut period, that sometimes my idea of 5.5 inches isn't exactly what the idea on the cartridge is. So there we have, I've just glued that down with my Zig 2-way pen, and that, the green with the red coming through, really helps you to be able to see the silhouette. I think what I love about this card, and with the papers that I've chosen and with the silhouettes, and actually what the vision in my head was when I was planning this card, it's a very vintage feeling card, and I really love that about that. It just reminds me of just getting down to simple things, you know, just little simple things. So I'm going to adhere that down. Now, one thing that I have not done, you may notice if I look from the back, you can see that the points are kind of sticking out a little bit. I have not attempted to put this in an envelope yet. If it becomes a problem, I will just trim off the tip of that with my paper trimmer. So that was a pretty simple card, and I just like the vintage feel of the print and the silhouettes and the ovals and everything together. So that's the first one that I did. Then I'm going to set that aside. This is a green one, and it's the exact same card, only it's the green is the dominant color, and we've got the red coming through. Again, it's from that same paper pack. The ones that I did that are quite different, well, kind of different, the other variation that I did, and I almost like these even better. I don't know, I like them both. But this one is one that I made with green. And this, there are two different images of children playing with the in the snow, in the sleds and things. And so here's both of those variations. And this one I just simply cut my paper as you would a regular if you were doing layers. So, you know, you've got your standard 5.5 by 4 1/4, and the next one 5 1/4 by 4, and the next one's 3 3/4 by 5. And then I stamped my Merry Christmas wherever it would be appropriate for the different silhouette that I used. And again, I used up a lot of my scrap paper. This is some of some hot off the press paper, some more hot off the press paper. I have Provo craft paper, just all sorts of paper. And again, I did the exact same things on the inside. So they're kind of cohesive. And you could, if you were doing something like this, you could do it for a set. But let's see, that one you've already seen. I did the same thing with red. Here's a red one. And so there we have just this simple, I say simple, it was pretty time consuming by the time I cut all of the layers and things, but I did make I made I think 24 cards. So I did quite a bit of stamping, but I just really like the simplicity and the vintage feel to the cards. So there we have today's Christmas card share. Thanks so much for stopping by today, and remember, take some time to enjoy the little things. Have a great day.